This is video number 2 on my improvising and jamming video series. In the previous video, I talked about the triad and how important it is to really understand the shape of the triad, the sound of the notes of the triad, as well as the number that you're actually playing, whether it's 1, a 3, a 5, or 8, which you want to keep track in your mind as you're playing. So if you're hitting the 5, you're going to think, okay, 5. Now in this video, we're actually really going to be thinking more about these numbers because in this video, I'm going to explain what the pentatonic scale does for you. And I know you may know what the pentatonic scale is, but bear with me. This is still going to be very helpful, even if you already know how to play this. So basically, what's very important is this last thing here. You're going to start on a triad note, then you're going to play your phrase, and then you're going to basically end on the triad again. This is going to be a very good standard form for phrases. It's not always the best, but it's definitely always good. It's never bad when you do this, but sometimes it is bad if you don't do this. That kind of makes sense. So, I assume you probably already know what the pentatonic scale is, and so we're going to go back to A here, and of course we're going to play this 5-8, and then a 5-7, and then a 5-7. I'm actually going to stop it here, 3 strings. And I want you to sort of think, what is the difference between the triad and the pentatonic scale that I just played? So as you can see here, there's a big round circle, and the triad is basically the smallest unit of measurement. Okay, those are the 1, 3, 5 notes right here. So as you continue and you play pentatonic notes, well, you actually might notice that the triad is basically inside of the pentatonic scale. The 1, the 3, the 5, and the 8, these are parts of the pentatonic scale. So you see, basically most of the notes of the pentatonic scale are the triad. The triad obviously has 3 notes. The pentatonic has 5 notes, and the letter pattern, well, this is basically the scale itself, so essentially this contains 7 notes. So basically we're just adding 2 notes to the triad when we play the pentatonic scale. Now here's the real trick. So far when you've played pentatonic, you probably didn't think about triad notes. You were probably thinking like, okay, well, let's just make a riff that sounds good with all these notes that I have, and you just chose notes at random. Well, that's perfectly fine, but in this video we're going to talk about how to really understand and control the actual riffs that you come up with in the pentatonic scale. Alright, the reason why we're stepping into pentatonic first, before letter pattern, which is before the entire scale, is because the pentatonic scale always sounds good pretty much no matter what. So let's just think about what numbers have been added to this whole grouping. We have 5 numbers now, 5 notes. Before we were only 1, 3, 5. Now we're actually going to add in the D note here, which is the 4, and we're also going to add in the G here, which is the 7. So we're actually adding notes 4 and 7 to our entire piece. Now, what's very important, again, is this whole thing here. So essentially, you're going to start with a 1, 3, 5 note, all right? 1, 3, 5. You're not really going to start on a 4 or a 7. It's probably not a good idea. I mean, sometimes it sounds really good and all, but for you wanna do that on purpose, not on accident. You want to start on the 4 because you choose to start on the 4, not because it's just a random decision. Sorry. Let me just take a drink of water real quick. Okay. So we're going to start on a 1, 3, 5. Then in the phrase, we have the ability to play 1, 3, 5 as well, but we also now have a 4 and a 7. So those are the notes that we can include into our phrase, all 5 of them. Now as we finish here, we're going to end again on a 1 through 5. So basically what this means is you're kind of running the bases in the baseball field. You're starting at home plate or something, or even just first base or second base or third base or some sort of base. You're starting on a base, and then you're sort of running around. You don't have to necessarily go from to the next base, but you're just kind of running around. Maybe you're faking it out. a little bit, kind of coming back to first, kind of going back to the second, just kind of messing around and seeing what kinds of things you can do with the 4 and the 7 here, and then finally you're just like, all right, let's go to the next bass, and then it all ends. Okay, so it's kind of like that. So here's some examples. Again, be very careful of what note you start and end on, and after every single phrase, I want you to try to identify what the notes that you're playing. Okay. So if I'm going to play this riff here, chord riff again, start on the chord, and then I'm going to play the notes from the triad first, and then I'm going to play pentatonic notes, and then I'm going to end on the triad again. Okay, so I'm going to make our little riff. Alright, it's really simple. I started here. What you need to do after you make your riff, I want you to analyze what the numbers are, okay? Don't go on to the next riff yet. Analyze these numbers. So what I did was I started on the chord, then I played the 5 3 times. I played the 4 3 times, I think. Something like that. So I played the 4 or the 5. That's a triad. Then I played the 4, and then I ended on the 3, as you can see. And back on the chord. So I started 5 4 3. That was my riff. Easy, right? Okay, now I'm going to make a little bit more complicated riff. Alright, here what I did, I slid into the 5, then I played the 8, back to 5, then a 4, then the 5, and then I ended. So 5 8 5 4 5 chord. So again, the only time when you found that 4 note was when I was in the middle of the phrase. I made sure that I started on the 5, and I made sure that I ended on the 5. And so far my riffs have only included the 4. Okay, I haven't included the 7 yet. I only played with the 4. I'd like you to try doing that. Just choose one. Let me even write triad plus 1 over here. Triad plus 1. That's a very important tip. It's because you don't want to play with all the notes. It's going to be hard for your ear to understand what they really sound like. So I'd like you to let me just, what was I saying? I was saying triad plus 1. There are going to be many notes available to play. I'd like you to choose one of the notes outside of the triad to make a few riffs in. Okay? Just do 3 to 5 with just that one note. I chose the 4. I made 2 riffs so far. Let me make one more with just the 4. That sounded a little bit similar to... Actually, you know what? So here I started on the 5, went down to the 4, then the 3, okay? Here's the 3, back to the 4, and then ended on the 5. So again, I'm just making sure that I start on a capital. I have whatever I want to in my sentence. Again, just choosing triad plus 1, okay? And then I head over to the end, which is the period. Simple stuff. So now I've got the sound of the 4 in my ear. I know how it sounds like now, and I know where it is on the guitar. The 4. So I'm really controlling my riffs, so I know exactly what it actually sounds like. You can probably tell I know what these riffs are going to sound like before I play them. This isn't just stuff at random. Maybe the first note is random. Actually, no. You know, I just kind of, I think of something and I'll just kind of play it real quick. It doesn't necessarily happen all at the same time. I think, okay, what's the first note I want to hear? This is sort of, you know, next level type stuff. You actually do want to think about what your notes you're going to play. Anyway, so now I'm going to try the 7. I'm still here in A minor. Now, here I'm starting on a 7 actually. this here, the capital sentence period, is not a strict rule. Alright? This is just a guideline. And I wanted to show you that I could start on the 7 and it'll sound really good. The thing is, I know what the 7 is going to sound like. So yeah, you can break this rule as long as you realize that it's actually happening. You don't want to just kind of accidentally break the rule and not think about it, you know? So here I'm starting on the 7, and then I'm playing an 8 and ending on the 5. Alright, so that was my riff with 7. I'll make 2 more with just 7. Again, I'm just going to analyze these riffs that I'm making. You don't want to just play a riff and then just kind of forget about it. You want to try to, first of all, remember what you've played, replay it a few times. That's going to help you visualize and understand what's happening with what you're playing. The second thing is you want to really remember the shape of what's happening here. And the third thing is actually going to help you to improvise in general, because now you can repeat phrases you've played before. Sometimes it's a bit of a challenge. So I had a 3. Something like that. So it was a 3, then I played the 7, and I ended on the 5. Alright, so it sounds pretty cool. Now again, I'd like you to repeat this same exact process in the A, as well as the D, and as well as the E. And the reason for this again is because I want you to remember where these letters are on the fretboard, and to notice that actually in any minor chord that you play in, you can actually continue to use the triad and the pentatonic scale, this whole grouping of notes here in the middle. You can play this over any minor chord. And in fact, if you play this stuff in any minor key, well, it's basically always going to sound exactly the same, because it's always going to be the same relative notes. It might be higher or lower in pitch, but it's actually going to like literally just sound the same, which is why I feel like playing in various keys is a little bit redundant, because I don't know, I won't really talk about that. The point is, go ahead and just try to practice this until you sort of understand it. You might have to watch this video again. I mean, hopefully it's pretty simple, but we're gonna have to end it here, and I'll see you in the next video.